Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the strict pull-up and how it relates to everything else we've been talking about in this movement series. So the strict pull-up is pretty simple. We want to relate it back to the push-up. So let's talk about the push-up first. How do I get set up? I'm going to set up with my feet together, my butt tight, my belly button drawn in. I'm holding my kegel, my rib cage is down, but I'm extending tall. I'm going to get my shoulders back in their socket, and I'm going to create that torque into the ground. So remember, my hands don't physically spin, but I'm twisting into the ground to get that shoulder wound up nice and tight. Okay, so from that position, my spine stays in one piece as just my arms move. So now as we start looking at other movements, everything else is just going to be a variation or a combination of the squat, the push-up, and the jump. In this case, the strict pull-up, if I get into my push-up position and put my arms up over my head, is just the exact same thing except my arms are over my head and I'm pulling down. So to show what this looks like, I'm going to get in the same body position. So hanging here, I'm trying to get my shoulders away from my ears. I'm going to draw my lower abs in, squeeze my butt cheeks, hold a kegel, twisting my hands into the bar here as my feet are twisting in. I'm going to try and keep my back solid in one piece as I pull up and then go back down. So I don't want any spine movement as I'm doing this. A super common thing we see is as soon as we start to pull, we lose our core stability, our feet swing behind us, and then we pull in this really arched position. What I like to show people is that core position is not just about supporting our back, it's about supporting our shoulders and our hip. When those things are supported, we have the opportunity to get really, really strong. So if I'm supported tight as I hang here, then that tightness transfers into my shoulder, and holding this position is really easy. As soon as I break, now you can see me start to spin as I am really fighting hard to hold that center position. So as soon as we break at the core, we have a loss of stability in the shoulder. We're unable to produce as much power. So it's super important that we get everything nice and tight, shoulders back, and then we're just holding that tight position. That's what we're trying to develop. So how do we scale this if we don't quite have the strength or coordination yet for a strict pull-up? We can scale this in a few different ways. The first way we really like to use is the banded pull-up. What we're going to do, we have different thicknesses of bands. We've got thinner, we've got thicker. But what we like to do is just tie it up to the pull-up rack. I put my foot in it, and now I can get into the exact same position. My belly button's drawn in, my feet are together, holding my kegel, squeezing my butt cheeks, my rib cage is down, I'm extending up. I've got my shoulders away from my ears, and I'm twisting into that bar. So now I just have a little bit of health that will eventually progress me into doing a strict pull-up without the help. So keep in mind, if we're using a barbell, it's pretty easy to scale the movement. We just simply put lighter or heavier weight on the bar. But when we're doing body weight type things, we need different ways or different thicknesses of bands that allow us to get the right stimulus from the workout. If a workout calls for 10 strict pull-ups every round, and you can do one strict pull-up, we're going to need a way to scale that to keep you progressing and getting the right amount of reps at the right intensity that we're looking for that day. Another option, and so we use this option for brand new people starting out who still haven't quite developed the strength and body awareness, even for the banded pull-up. And we use this for people who the skin of their hand just starts to hurt a little bit. What we do is it's called a ring row. We're going to get the rings out. It's pretty simple. I'm just going to get in the same body position we talked about. Shoulders back, twisting in. Notice now that I don't have a bar, so now when I twist in, the rings actually rotate. I want to feel that rotation in my back. Everything's nice and tight as I pull up. So to make this harder, I can walk my feet out here. To make this easier, I can walk my feet up this way. So now in the middle of a workout, we can either change the band and go thicker or thinner, or we can move our feet around in the ring row to change the variation we're using. Ultimately, long story short, it looks exactly like a push-up. Everything's nice and tight, shoulders are back, creating that rotation to hold the stability through the movement. So once we get to a point where we figured out the right way to scale, now we want to have a strategy that turns how we're scaling into eventually doing pull-ups in workouts. So how do we do that? The first number I like to use is 5. So the band you should be choosing, or the variation of where your feet are on the rings, or if you're just doing strict pull-ups, what should happen is 5 pull-ups should be easy. If 5 pull-ups is hard in any way, then we're just going to need a little bit more help for the rep schemes that we use in the workouts that are really going to develop strength in the pull-up. What we can do is, as we're going to make our jump, so say I've got a thicker band than this, and 5 pull-ups is easy. Not a joke, but easy. That would be a great place to make the workout exactly as it's written work for me. If I want to start biasing my strength and developing this movement a little bit more, what I then do is I go to a little thinner band. Okay, so this is going to give me less help. I go to a little thinner band, and then I'm going to take the reps in the workout down. So if it said 10 pull-ups every round, when I make my first jump to a thinner band, maybe I go to 60% of the reps. So in that case, I would do 6 pull-ups every round. So I'm using a harder band than I'm used to, 6 pull-ups every round, and then I slowly move that to 7, then to 8, then to 9, then to 10 across a few months. Once I get back to the number in the workout, then what I'm going to do is make the same jump again. I'm going to get an even thinner band, drop the reps back down to 6, and then I'm going to spend a few months progressing my way up until eventually we get off of the thin band and we're just doing our regular pull-ups there. So use those strategies as we go along to develop that nice, tight body position. That way everything goes back to the squat, the push-up, and the jump, and then we can develop all the other movements we do in here and out in the real world. All right, see you guys soon.